Picture an 18th-century American estate, symmetrical brick facade, a grand centered entrance, tall windows lined up in perfect rows, shutters on every single one. The kind of house you'd expect to see on a historic walking tour, not on a barndominium builder's website. Now picture that exact facade wrapped around the open-span structural bones of a modern barndominium. Same formal, dignified exterior, completely different building method underneath it, and a completely different living experience once you walk through that front door. That's what we're building today, at least on paper. I want to walk you through exactly how this concept works, what I genuinely love about it, and where I think it could go badly wrong if the wrong builder gets their hands on it. Let's get into it. Before we dig in, if concepts like this are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to Barndominium Haven. That's genuinely what keeps this channel making videos like this one. Let's set the historical foundation first, because this concept only works if you understand what it's actually borrowing from. Georgian architecture dominated American building from the early to mid-1700s, named for the British monarchs of the era, and it's defined by strict symmetry, a centered front door, windows evenly spaced and perfectly aligned on either side, a balanced, formal facade that looks almost mathematically precise. Federal style followed right after, roughly from the 1780s through the early 1800s, refining that same symmetrical formula with slightly more delicate detailing. Fan lights over doorways, more slender proportions, a lighter overall touch than the heavier Georgian homes that came before it. My honest opinion? These two styles represent some of the most disciplined, confident architecture America has ever produced. Nothing about a Georgian or Federal facade is accidental. Every window, every shutter, every chimney placement is doing deliberate work to create that sense of order and formality. That's exactly the DNA we're grafting onto a barndominium today, and it's a genuinely ambitious pairing. Now let's talk about the other half of this equation, because the barndominium side of this concept isn't just a construction method. It's a completely different set of priorities than the historic style it's wearing on the outside. A barndominium is built around a steel or post-frame structural system, originally developed for agricultural buildings, that creates wide, open, largely column-free interior spans. That open span capability is the entire structural advantage here. It's what lets you build a genuinely massive, unobstructed great room, something a traditional 18th-century timber-framed home could never achieve at this scale, because traditional framing needed load-bearing walls breaking up the interior far more frequently. My honest take? This is the actual magic of this concept, and it's worth stating plainly. You're not compromising interior openness to get the historic exterior. You're getting the disciplined, formal Georgian facade on the outside, while the barndominium structure underneath gives you interior openness that an actual 18th-century home builder could only dream of. That's a genuinely rare combination. Historic restraint outside, modern spatial freedom inside. Let's walk through the exterior element by element, because getting this facade right is where this entire concept either succeeds or completely falls apart. Start with the symmetry itself, a centered entrance with evenly spaced windows on either side, forming that classic balanced two-story facade. Add tall, multi-pane windows with shutters, which do double duty here, historically accurate detailing, and genuinely useful for controlling light in a home built around oversized interior openness. Dormer windows break up the roofline and add that classic historic silhouette, while traditional brick chimneys anchor the composition and signal permanence and formality before a visitor ever reaches the front door. Here's where the modern barndominium identity sneaks back in, though. A standing seam metal roof instead of traditional shingles. My honest opinion, I actually love this detail specifically, because it's the one moment where the exterior openly admits what's structurally underneath it. It doesn't scream barn, but it's a subtle, honest nod to the building method, rather than pretending the whole structure is something it's not. Add large wraparound covered porches, and you've got genuine indoor-outdoor living space that also happens to be period appropriate for the style you're referencing. My favorite exterior detail across this entire concept, hands down, that standing seam roof paired with traditional brick chimneys. It's the perfect visual handshake between two eras. One material choice honestly modern, one material choice honestly historic, sitting together without either one feeling out of place. Now let's talk about where this exterior concept can genuinely go wrong, because I want you to actually hear this clearly before you fall in love with the render. Steel and post-frame barndominium structures are built around structural post spacing that's optimized for open interior spans, not for perfectly evenly spaced window placement on a symmetrical facade. Traditional Georgian and Federal facades demand precise, mathematically even window spacing. If your structural engineer sets post spacing purely for interior efficiency, and your architect tries to bolt a symmetrical facade onto that structure afterward, you can end up with windows that don't actually align with your structural bays, meaning either your symmetry gets compromised, or you're paying for costly structural modifications to make the facade math work. My honest advice, and this is the single most important mistake to avoid on this entire project, design the facade symmetry and the structural post spacing together, from day one, with your architect and your structural engineer in the same room. Do not design a beautiful, historically accurate facade first, and then hand it to a barndominium builder to figure out afterward. That sequencing mistake is exactly how projects like this end up over budget or visually compromised. Now let's walk through the front door, because the entire personality of this home flips the moment you step inside. Open concept living spaces dominate, made possible by that wide-span barndominium structure we already talked about. A large chef's kitchen anchors the main gathering space, oversized, farmhouse style, built for a family that actually cooks and entertains, not a showpiece kitchen nobody uses. Exposed timber beams overhead give a genuine nod to historic construction, even though the structural work is actually being handled by steel underneath. A purely aesthetic callback to the past, layered onto a thoroughly modern structural system. A statement fireplace anchors the great room, doing exactly what a fireplace did in the original 18th century version of this home, serving as the emotional and gathering center of the space, just at a dramatically larger scale than any actual Federal-era home could have achieved. Oversized windows flood the interior with natural light, made possible by that open structural span working in your favor instead of against you. A luxury primary suite rounds out the private spaces, built with genuinely modern comfort in mind rather than historic austerity. My honest opinion on the interior? This is where the concept genuinely earns its appeal. You get the emotional warmth and character of historic detailing. The beams, the fireplace, the sense of craftsmanship, combined with a scale and openness that historic construction methods physically could not deliver. It's not a replica of an 18th century home. It's a modern home that respects and references one. Quick but important design decision buried inside that interior concept. Those exposed timber beams need an honest conversation before construction starts. In a genuine barndominium structure, the actual load-bearing work is being done by steel framing, not timber. That means your exposed beams are almost certainly decorative rather than structural. And that's a completely legitimate design choice, but it's one you need to make consciously rather than accidentally. My honest advice, If you want those beams to feel genuinely substantial, rather than like an applied afterthought, invest in real, solid timber, rather than a lightweight faux beam product, even though it's purely decorative. The tactile weight and grain of real timber reads completely differently than a hollow decorative shell, and in a home built around historic character, that difference is exactly the kind of detail a visitor notices, even if they can't articulate why. Let's talk about the large attached barn or garage wing, because this is genuinely one of the more clever pieces of this whole concept. Historic Georgian and Federal estates often had genuine working outbuildings, carriage houses, stables, service structures, connected to or near the main residence. A large attached barn or garage wing on this concept is doing double duty. It's historically plausible, as a callback to those original working estate structures, and it's genuinely practical as modern garage, workshop, or storage space. My honest opinion? This is the detail that makes the whole concept feel cohesive instead of gimmicky. A lot of historic revival home designs completely ignore the practical outbuildings that were actually part of the original architectural tradition and end up feeling like a movie set instead of a lived-in estate. Keeping that barn or garage wing as part of the composition, rather than tucking it awkwardly out of sight, actually makes this concept more historically honest, not less. One more piece worth mentioning, because it genuinely changes how convincing this whole concept reads from the street. Formal American estate landscaping, symmetrical plantings, a clear central approach to that grand entrance, structured hedges or tree lines framing the property. My honest take? You can nail every single architectural detail we've covered so far, and if the landscaping is an afterthought, random plantings, no clear formal approach to the entrance, the whole illusion falls apart the moment someone pulls into the driveway. Budget real design attention for the landscaping, not just the structure. It's doing more work than people expect in selling this concept as a cohesive whole. Let's talk numbers honestly, because a project at this level of ambition is genuinely not a budget build, and I don't want to pretend otherwise. A basic barndominium shell, built with straightforward proportions and standard finishes, can run as low as $20 per square foot for just the structural shell. But nothing about this concept is basic. Brick veneer or genuine masonry chimneys, dormer windows, tall multi-pane windows with true divided lights, a standing seam metal roof, wraparound covered porches, a chef's kitchen, real timber accents, and a formal landscaped approach. Every single one of those upgrades adds real cost on top of that basic shell number. My honest estimate? A project executed at the level this concept actually calls for is realistically landing well into premium custom home territory. Likely somewhere in the range of $150 to $250 per finished square foot, or more, depending on your region and exactly how far you push the historic detailing. On a genuinely large footprint version of this home, that adds up to a serious investment. This is an estate-level project, not an entry-level barndominium. My honest advice: don't go into a project like this expecting typical bare-bones barndominium pricing. You're combining a premium structural method with premium historic detailing, and the final number needs to reflect both halves of that equation honestly. Here's a genuinely underrated advantage of this specific concept that most barndominium projects don't get to claim. A lot of homeowners associations and historic adjacent zoning boards have real aesthetic restrictions against structures that read as agricultural or industrial in appearance, even when the actual construction method underneath is a modern steel or post-frame system. Because this concept wraps that structural method in a genuinely convincing, historically referenced exterior, it's often significantly easier to get approved in a design-restricted neighborhood than a standard barndominium with an obviously agricultural facade. You're getting the cost and structural efficiency advantages of barndominium construction, while presenting an exterior that satisfies design review boards focused on traditional architectural character. My honest opinion? This might be the single most practically valuable thing about this entire concept, beyond just looking beautiful. If you've got your eye on a lot inside an HOA or a historic character zoning district, this approach can genuinely open doors that a standard barndominium exterior would get flatly rejected at. Let's be practical for a second. Who should actually pursue something like this? If you love the openness and structural efficiency of barndominium living, but you're building somewhere with real aesthetic restrictions, or you simply want a home that reads as a genuine estate rather than a converted barn, this concept solves that problem elegantly. If you've got the budget to actually execute the historic detailing properly, real masonry, real timber accents, professional landscaping, rather than cutting corners on the details that make the illusion convincing, this is a genuinely compelling direction. Who should think twice? Anyone chasing genuinely budget barndominium pricing. This concept, executed properly, is not the affordable path into barndominium living. It's the premium, estate-level path. And anyone unwilling to coordinate architect and structural engineer from day one on that facade symmetry, because that's exactly where this concept is most likely to go wrong. Here's where I land. I think the Georgian Federal Barndominium is one of the more genuinely intelligent historic revival concepts I've walked through on this channel, specifically because it doesn't pretend the barndominium structure isn't there. It uses that standing seam roof and that open interior span as honest, confident modern additions to a historically disciplined exterior, instead of trying to hide the building method entirely. Done carelessly, this is an expensive mismatch. Misaligned windows, cheap decorative beams, an afterthought landscape plan undermining an otherwise beautiful facade. Done properly, with the structural engineering and the historic detailing designed together from the very first sketch, this is genuinely one of the most compelling ways I've seen to bring 18th-century American formality into a thoroughly modern way of living. So that's the Georgian Federal Barndominium. 18th-century American elegance on the outside, wide-open modern barndominium functionality on the inside, and a genuinely smart answer for anyone who wants both, without compromising on either one. If concepts like this get you thinking about your own build the way they get me thinking, that's exactly what Barndominium Haven is here for. Subscribe, so you don't miss the next one. Would you actually build something like this? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.